plaster's not the only thing that's rustic on this project, so is our entire job site. And that means no town sewer. We're in need of a septic system, and Richard spent some time this summer tracking the latest developments in that area.
About 25% of American houses have some sort of septic system, and that's what we have up at Essex. Now, a septic system has a septic tank where solids and liquid enter, and the liquid leaves the tank and goes into these perforated pipes that sit below what's called a leaching field. Now, this has been the method for many, many years, but recently there are alternative septic systems on the market, and if you're a manufacturer, you better start with George Hoyfelder. Hi, George.
Hey, Richard. How you doing?
Good to be here.
Welcome to the test center. We affectionately call it Poop Central.
Poop Central? Well, I'm glad I'm here. Well, how many different manufacturers you got under test here?
Oh, about 15 to 20, depending on what the manufacturers are doing. And it all starts right here. Grade A #1 poop comes in from Coast Guard housing, from the school, from a jail. We need that.
So buy local.
Buy local, right. You know, we don't always just deal with alternative septic systems here. This project is trying to figure out how to bring back a traditional leach field that's failed, short of digging the whole thing up.
Oh, really? So how do you do that?
Well, all septic systems work by bacteria, and all bacteria need oxygen. So if you can get oxygen to the system like this system is doing here, you break the waste down before it gets out to the leach field.
So pumping oxygen in will actually bring back a failed leaching field?
That's right. And some systems like that one over there actually pumps the air out into the leach field itself.
How long has this been under test?
This has been about 6 months, and it's really starting to look promising. It would be helpful for those who really need to replace the system but can't afford to dig it up.
For sure. So what are some of the alternative systems, George?
Well, the standard septic system hasn't changed much over the years. It used to be a hole in the ground, a cesspit. Then after World War II, when housing was being built like crazy, they put septic tanks in a leach field, much like you described before. And most of those worked by gravity. But then you had conditions of poor soil, or, you know, it's cold temperatures. So you really needed to reduce the size of the leach field. And that's what this does here. This is a recirculating sand filter. This sand filter takes septic tank effluent, takes it, pumps it up over a filter, which is a stone filter or a sand filter, recirculates it an average of 5 times before it is allowed to discharge the leach field. So most of the work of breaking down the waste occurs right in here.
So what size house can this handle?
This can handle a 3 to 4 bedroom house.
Really? So what's up with the greenhouse?
Well, we put it there to keep the bugs warm during the winter, but you could really just cover the whole thing over with a big pile of mulch.
So the bugs like to be warm?
Yep, they like warm, but remember, they like air too, and there they get it by filtering over the media. The air passively goes into it. In these units, these are called aerobic treatment units.
Okay.
Here, air is aggressively applied to the poop in the liquid itself, and there's some media in there where bacteria can grow.
Yeah. Are these popular?
These are very popular in tight soils, down south, Georgia clays. So as we get toward the ultimate in treatment, you move towards something called a membrane bioreactor.
Membrane bioreactor. Sounds daunting.
Well, it's pretty simple. It's basically a filter which bacteria grow on, and water passes through it, and that is so small that even the bacteria can't get through to the other side. So with a little further disinfection, you could use that for toilet wash or for washing clothes or sometimes even drinking.
Wow. Well, it's a technology I've been following, and I hope to use it actually on Essex, but the system I saw doesn't go below the ground. It actually is in a tank above the ground.
That's right. It doesn't have to be below the ground. The membrane station can be above, and you know, it produces the same quality water as the one beneath the ground.
And you tested it?
Yes, we did. We give it the thumbs up.
Well, great. Well, thank you for the tour of Poop Central. You are officially the #1 expert in the #2 business.
Thanks a lot.
Our house is not connected to a municipal sewer system, so normally we would have a big septic system out back. And even though that holding tank and the leaching field will all be underground, you still need a good piece of real estate to make it all work, unless you've got an alternative. And Richard, your alternative is to keep it all in the basement?
Absolutely. Say hello to Ingo Schaefer.
Ingo, how are you?
Kevin, nice to meet you.
Ingo's company makes a self-contained sewage treatment plant. Now, any sewage treatment plant works on one principle: bacteria. That bacteria can break down both liquids and solids, and this is really just like a sewage treatment plant.
Okay, walk me through it, please.
Here's where all the waste and water from the house are going to come down through this big pipe right here.
Solids and liquids?
This first tank, the collection tank, is where the solids will remain. And we want to break those down from a solid into a liquid, and that's with oxygen. Bacteria loves oxygen. Okay. So we have an air pump that's going to aerate the bottom of this and break down those solids.
So literally feeding the bacteria to speed up the process?
Bacteria loves it. So now the water will move through a sieve or a fine filter right here and move from this tank, leaving solids behind. The liquid goes to here. Another aerator right here with a series of compressors, all computer controlled right here, will continue to break down those solids.
Keep the bacteria happy, right?
Now we're going to actually move the liquid from this tank using this lift pump. So here we come here with air bubbles, and each air bubble that comes up will bring a little bit of water with it, bringing it up and dumping it into these next two tanks.
Okay.
But we haven't really finished yet. This is what the liquid looks like at this point.
Oh, you're definitely not done.
So now the magic happens in these next two tanks.
All right, Ingo, so what is the magic?
Well, the magic is this membrane unit. The bacteria builds up on the membrane unit itself, and again, there's aeration underneath so that we can feed the bacteria with some more oxygen.
So the bubbles rise up and go through these filters?
Series of plates.
The filters plates are like here, located in here. You can see on the surface here, this is the membrane material.
Actually, it feels like plastic or vinyl to me. You're saying stuff gets through this?
Right, it has real tiny pores in order to allow the water through, but keeps the bacteria on the opposite side.
Kidding. Good stuff gets through, bad stuff stays behind.
And by the time it gets through, the water looks like this.
Really?
Isn't that something?
So there's one membrane in which tank?
In both. There's one in each.
All right. So I guess my question is, I mean, this looks great and it sounds kind of magical, but who uses this? I mean, who
There's
actually...
plenty of places to use this. Places that are on the water, places that have failed septic systems, high water table, small properties, lots of places.
Lots of places, right?
And the water is so clean, you know, we're going to send it through this small pipe out to our leaching field, but in Europe and in many parts of this country, you can actually send that water to be used to flush toilets or to irrigate your lawn. It's so clean you can drink it though. You thirsty?
I'm not thirsty, not European, but Ingo, it's your system.
I am! No.
Bottoms up.
Oh my gosh. Well, I guess that proves it, huh?